today's webinar to elaborate on some of the aspects you need to consider when choosing a good social media network for your business. Brandy is a social media trainer and coach and the proud owner of BLG Business Solutions. So thank you, Brandy, for joining us today.
Yeah, it is good to be back on this beautiful day.
So please note that Brandy will do her best to answer all your questions after the presentation. If she missed your question or cannot answer it due to time restraints, we will post the answers on our website alongside the recorded webinar. Okay, so Brandy, please start whenever you're ready.
All right. So today we are here to talk about which social media network is best for your business and figuring out either if you're on the right one right now or if you haven't started social media marketing yet, which one you should be on based on your audience. So I can see just looking at the attendee list, there's some familiar names, but also some new names. So that's really awesome. And thanks for coming to spend time with us. I know I said it's a beautiful day. I'm in my office with no air conditioning, so I've got the window open. There's a tiny breeze, but if you hear kids yelling or anything like that in the background, it's like the neighbors' activities going on. I might add some levity later on, depending on how loud they can get. Let's get started here. So a little bit more of an introduction about me for anyone who doesn't know me or who has never been on a webinar with me before. This is me, and my goal is to make social media fun, easy, and effective for business owners. And you can find me online on many social networks at BLG Business, or my website is blgbusiness.com, and I've got resources and things on there. So how did I come to be involved with social media marketing? So I came to it in kind of a roundabout way. So I got an honor degree in psychology. And then when I was done that, I wasn't quite sure if psychology is really what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But it was very interesting, and I specialized in social psychology, which you guys may or may not know. So psychology is kind of the basis for marketing, right? So after I graduated, I took a year off and moved to Japan to teach English, and that was awesome. But again, I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I came back home and decided to keep working instead of going back to school. And I ended up in the tech industry doing things like business analysis and project management and software testing, but lots and lots and lots of training. Since I was the one helping to develop the software, I had to then teach everyone else how to use it. So eventually I decided, okay, I want to be my own boss. So I kind of took all of those experiences and education and put them all together and decided, okay, social media, that's what I'm going to do. And that is how we all ended up here today. So the next order of business is just a quick mention about the other linchpin of my business. This is my executive assistant, Cash. So as you can see, he also holds the title of foot warmer and cuddle buddy. And if you've ever been in a webinar with me before, you might have heard him barking in the background. We might even have the pleasure of that today, depending on if he's outside. It's pretty hot, so we might stay inside, might keep quiet, have a nap or something like that. So I want to start off with a couple questions for you guys to get you thinking about things. So how many of you guys here are already using social media to market your business? You can just put yes, or you can list which ones you're using. It's totally up to you. You can see Sally, yes, Kim, yes, mostly Facebook, right? More yeses, yeses, yeses. Oh, just one no. This would be an awesome start for you. Okay. Oh, Amy's doing lots. Oh, we've got two no's. Okay, you guys are in for a treat. So my second question then, of the people who are using social media right now, how many of you feel that it is really effective and you're kind of accomplishing the goals that you want to with it? Absolutely not. Oh no, that's no good. But Sally, that's a very, very common response I get when I ask people this question, right? So we've got one. Sophie says very, so that is awesome for her. Not that great. Um, yes, I need to learn more about it. Moderately effective. Yeah, so we've got kind of, for the most part, like the kind of average response seems to be people are like, sort of. Right? And so what we want to be is we all want to be the one that's like, yes, we're rocking it and it's doing really, really well. So here are kind of the two main parts of succeeding on social media. You want to have the right audience and you want to be posting the right stuff. And you combine those together, and that's how you succeed. And it sounds simple, right? But if you've been doing social media, even for a little bit, you know this is actually quite difficult. Because if we were all doing it really, really well, we wouldn't need these kinds of trainings and seminars to help us out, right? So today, what we're going to focus on is the right audience because you need that first. That's kind of the foundational piece. If you're not reaching the right people, then it doesn't matter what you're posting. You could be posting really awesome stuff, but if it's not the people who need to be seeing your stuff, they're not going to be interested, then it doesn't matter. So I've got kind of a quick example for you guys. So say you sell homemade blankets. Maybe you knit or you quilt or something. So every year in your city, there is a big business to business expo, and then there's a small home and garden show. So in previous years, you always go to the business to business expo as an attendee because maybe you're shopping for business services or networking and things like that. So you're really familiar with how that particular event runs, right? You know who attends, the cost of everything, the who the vendors are, not just the attendees, and kind of just the overall event. You're familiar, you're comfortable with it. So this year, you have some money in your budget that you have set aside to attend a trade show with your business. So which one is going to be the best choice for your business? The Business to Business Expo or the Home and Garden Show? So it seems pretty obvious, right? Like you're going to go to the Home and Garden Show with your blankets because the people who are attending that particular event are the type that they might be actively looking for blankets or they're looking for home decor and they're in that kind of home decor state of mind, right? Going to the Business to Business Expo wouldn't make any sense. The problem is that we don't always do this with our marketing. Sometimes we just do what we know, even though our particular people aren't on that platform, right? So if I'm marketing to teenagers, maybe I'm selling like shoes or something to teenagers, but I'm really familiar with LinkedIn, it would make no sense for me to market on LinkedIn, right? But that's what some of us are doing just because we don't understand what the different networks are for and where our people are on those networks. So the kind of the lesson of that, when it comes to marketing, do what you know doesn't apply. You want to be where your target audience is. So sometimes we struggle with that because we want to start, like for example, everyone knows Facebook, so that tends to be where everyone goes first, but that might not be the best use of our resources. So one quick tip for you guys. If you're just starting out, I know some people when they were listing, we're on quite a few different networks. But if you're just starting out, just start with one network and get really good at that one before you start to add more. Because if you join a whole bunch right off the bat and you're trying to maintain them all, you can find yourself stretched really thin if you're trying to do it all yourself. And then you're not being effective anywhere, right? It's like the quality versus quantity kind of thing. So let's get into some numbers for you guys. And what I wanted to say about the stats that we're going to talk about today, all of these stats are specific to either Regina or Saskatchewan as a whole. We were able to get pretty specific. There's a research company in Saskatoon called Insightrix. They did a study recently on social media use in Saskatchewan. So before that, we always had to rely on just general Canadian data, which was good, except you'll see that us in Saskatchewan, we don't have quite the same online behaviors as the rest of Canada as a whole. We're a little bit different, and the fact that we have this data now that's specific to us is going to be really, really helpful. So here we go. So 83% of people in Saskatchewan use social media, right? So that's pretty good. I think that's a good number of us, especially considering we have such a small population, right? So that's Saskatchewan. Now let's look at just Regina. So Regina now is 76%. So Regina is the lowest in the province, and I don't have the slide here, but Saskatoon is the highest. So if you're doing social media in and around Saskatoon, and that's your target audience, you might find that those people engage more than people in Regina. And I know from experience, my own experience, that that has been 100% true so far. Now, in Saskatchewan, I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think is the most popular social media network? Does anyone have a guess? Yeah, Amy says Facebook, and that's right. So the number one network, I think, is pretty obvious, but can anyone guess what comes in second place after Facebook? This one, so far, I've never had anyone guess. So, or never had anyone guess correctly. Lots of people saying Instagram, but it's not Instagram. This is also a little bit of a trick question. Not LinkedIn, not Pinterest. Not Snapchat. Okay. I will show you guys here in the next slide. It is YouTube. And I know some people groan because a lot of people, they don't think of YouTube as a social network, but actually it is, right? It's just, it's so focused on video, but you can still comment and have live conversations with people and things like that. So actually, it does count as a social media network, and it is second place in Saskatchewan. And you'll notice on this slide that Facebook and YouTube are number one and number two all across Canada as well. But when you look at the numbers, in Saskatchewan, we use Facebook much more than the rest of the country, right? So that's interesting to note. And then also in terms of the numbers, like Facebook is 90%, YouTube is 38%, so it's quite a distant second. So the vast majority of people in Saskatchewan who are on social media are using Facebook. Right? So all of those things you see about, oh, Facebook is dead and this and that, if you're doing business in Saskatchewan, Facebook is alive and well and thriving. Right? Okay, so I have one last question for you guys. Does anyone want to take a guess at what number 3 is? After this point, Canada versus Saskatchewan, the order of things just goes all haywire. We're completely different after this. So we've got a Google. It's not Google. Everyone's afraid to guess now. All right. Oh, I see LinkedIn, Instagram. Nope, it's not those. Okay, I'll flip it over here so we can see what the third one is. It is Pinterest. So you'll see, like I mentioned, we're all out of order now compared to the rest of Canada, and this is kind of what makes us a bit unique, right? So number 3 is Pinterest, 4 is Instagram, 5 is Twitter, 6 is LinkedIn, and then Google is number 7. And Google is the lowest by far at only 3%. And I don't know if anyone else is kind of surprised by this, but I know when I saw this information, I was very surprised at Twitter that it was as low as it is. My perception was that here in like Regina, I don't know Saskatoon as well, but in Regina, it seemed like we had quite a thriving Twitter community. But of course, it could just be that's my perception because I'm on Twitter and I try to stay involved. But actually, Twitter is quite low compared to the other things. Okay. So this is how much we're using different social media networks in Saskatchewan. But let's talk about who are using these networks. Oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Before we talk about who's using them, let's look at why people in Saskatchewan are on social media because this can be really important to determine the kinds of things that we post about. So here's why we're on social media. We want to keep in touch with family. We want to be entertained. We want to stay up to date with news, play games, plan group events, touch base with business contacts, search for jobs, and meet new people. So you'll notice on this list, it's all the way to number 6 before there's even any mention of anything business related. And there are a few things on this list that are missing that we tend to see on other lists when they survey, say, like all of Canada, or they look at studies in the US or even in the UK and Europe. There's nothing here about wanting to interact with a business or shopping or looking for deals. I don't know if anyone else has seen older studies, but one of the top things that they always used to talk about is that people were on social media to find deals, right? To get discounts and gift certificates and things like that. That is not even anywhere on this list. So us in Saskatchewan, we're not really using social media for shopping, which it makes, as business owners, makes our job a little bit harder, right? Because we can't just put up like an awesome deal and people will be all over it. Maybe we have to do something that entertains people and oh yeah, it has an awesome deal that goes along with it, right? It's going to be, say, the entertainment part that catches their attention, not necessarily just the deal. So that's why it's so important to have entertaining or funny or relevant information to share. And that's what I was talking about off the top. We were talking about the right content, the right stuff to post. So that's just a little tip on that. But I want to get back to figuring out which social networks we should be on. Now, how do you know which network to use? Unfortunately, that involves research. You have to understand the purpose and the use of each one. You want to know who is on which network, things like gender and age, etc. And you want to know those stats kind of in general, but also for the region and city if that information is available. Because remember, even though all these networks are free to use, there's still a time investment. And so you need to choose wisely so that you're not spending too much time without getting any return on what you're doing. So here are some stats that I can give to you. So this research part is kind of just what we're doing right here on this webinar. So let's look at Facebook first. I'm going to go in the order that they were used in Saskatchewan, with the exception of Google. I'm not really going to talk about Google, though I can answer any questions about it, because at 3%, the amount of people who are using it is so small that for the majority of businesses, it's not even worth thinking about, right? So, but for now, let's look at Facebook because it's the big one. So on Facebook, there's 170,000 users in Regina and area. I know Saskatoon is going to be even more than that. But in general, in Saskatchewan, you're going to find there's slightly more women than men. It's not really that significant, but just a touch. And the largest age group is still the younger group, the 18 to 34. But the fastest growing age group is 35 to 65, right? So it's still a good place to catch younger people as well as older people. And the nice thing about Facebook is that most content types are allowed. And by that, I mean like photos, videos, audio, GIFs, links. What am I missing? Text, slideshows, things like that. Like you can post almost anything that you want on Facebook. Now, a quick tip right now is that Facebook heavily favors video right now. So you might have seen people posting live videos, and those are popping up in my feed a lot these days. Facebook is giving kind of like some bonus reach or bonus engagement to those videos as opposed to just photos or just text or just links. Okay, so that is Facebook. Now the next one, number 2, was YouTube. So let's talk about YouTube. Now, more men watch YouTube videos than women, and the largest age group is 18 to 24. So it's young men who are going to YouTube and watching stuff. Now, YouTube is awesome for educational content and also like how-to videos. If you go to Google and you type how to and then anything, your page is going to be full of YouTube videos that are just going to show you how to do that. So if you have any sort of educational content, YouTube is a really, really awesome place to store those. Now, that being said, if your audience that you're trying to reach is not necessarily men aged 18 to 24, I would still say that you want to host your videos on YouTube because it's a good place to store them so you can share out to other networks. The one exception possibly being Facebook, where you might want to upload your video live, or sorry, not live, you want to upload your video straight to Facebook because Facebook will give those that little bump that I was talking about. Whereas if you just post a link to your YouTube video on Facebook, Facebook just considers that a link and not necessarily a video, right? So videos are good, and video marketing using video is getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. And so if you are comfortable on camera, or even if you're not, I would recommend trying it out or just practicing with a friend, trying to get stuff out there because it's so popular these days. So what comes after YouTube? Now we've got Pinterest. So Pinterest, as you might expect, more popular with women. But in Saskatchewan, it's 7 times more women using it than men, right? The numbers are not quite so exaggerated in other parts of the world. Men are coming onto Pinterest more and more, but in Saskatchewan, it's still the vast majority of women, right? And again, the largest age group here is 18 to 24. So young women. Now, Pinterest is all about visual interest marketing. So people are pinning things that they want to buy or they want to make. And one of the things, it's not on the slide because it's fairly new, is Pinterest is coming out fairly soon with a new type of pin. It's called a buyable pin. And so what you'll be able to do with that is if you have, say, a Shopify website, you can pin your products onto Pinterest. And if you link your Pinterest account and your Shopify account, people can actually buy your stuff right on Pinterest without leaving. So Pinterest is kind of, instead of going from a collection or a scrapbooking kind of thing, it's turning into a giant online catalog. So if you are selling products, and young women are the kind of people that would be interested in your product, you definitely want to be on Pinterest, right? And if you have a Shopify store, that's like an extra bonus. We don't have that. The Bible pins aren't available right now, but they will be fairly soon. So then after Pinterest was Instagram. Okay, so Instagram, again, slightly more women than men, but not really significant. The split is sort of similar to Facebook. Um, and again, the largest age group, 18 to 24. And almost all of the users on Instagram are under 35, right? So unlike Facebook, where you have kind of the age group that's right from 18 to 65, on Instagram, it's almost all under 35. So if you are marketing to 35 and up, Instagram might not be the place that you want to be. So just a few stats about the hashtags that get used, because we don't know exactly how many users there are. But when I looked at the hashtag, so there's 195,000 uses of the hashtag YQR and almost 400,000 uses of the hashtag Saskatchewan, right? So people, there is lots of activity, and this number goes up every time I look at it. So there are very active people on Instagram. Again, it's just you want to make sure that your audience is the young under 35, and it could be women or men on Instagram. It's pretty equal. The most important thing about Instagram is having those really high quality photos, right? Because it is all about photos. Even though Instagram allows videos, photos still tend to get a bit more traction. And I think the reason for that might be because the videos tend to be kind of blurry, shaky smartphone videos. And we like the really nice, high quality photos on Instagram. So that's very important if you're using Instagram to spend some time either learning how to take really good photos, investing in a good camera, or just having a good lighting setup or whatever you need to do to take pictures with your phone. So then the next is Twitter, which I was very sad that Twitter was so low on the list because I wanted Twitter to be higher. I want more people to be using Twitter, but that's for my own nefarious purposes, and we'll talk about that a bit. So Twitter has 2 times more men than women, and the largest age group is 18 to 29. So it's younger men that tend to be using Twitter more than women. The 2 interesting things to note is that the fastest growing age group on Twitter is 55 plus, but Twitter is also the network that most Saskatchewan people are dropping, and it's by a dramatic amount compared to all the other networks. So this is what I was really sad about, because I tend to do a lot of event marketing, and Twitter and events are perfect. They go hand in hand. And the fact that less and less people in Saskatchewan are using Twitter, it makes me sad because it's harder to not only market your event on Twitter, but also having any sort of live posting or live engagements or online interaction during your event might be less likely to happen because maybe less and less of those people are going to be on Twitter. So I found that a little bit discouraging. And I know I've been talking about this with other people, and everyone else seems quite surprised that Twitter is as low as it is. But I don't know what it is about Twitter, but we're just kind of giving up on it here in Saskatchewan. So, and we're gravitating more towards kind of the visual networks, right? Like Instagram and Pinterest. And then, of course, Facebook is very visual, even though you can do anything on it. So, this is a funny one. I'm kind of torn about like when people ask me, should I be on Twitter? Now that I know this information, it's kind of hard to say. So I would say that if your target is very specific, like either the young men, like the 18 to 25, or people who are 55 and up, then I would say you might want to try it out. But if you're marketing to anyone else, you might get better traction on a different network, right? Because the things about Twitter that are really great, besides the event stuff that I was just talking about, was customer service. Twitter is really great for customer service, um, provide that you have the resources to be able to handle that, right? People can tweet you with some problem they're having, and you can deal with it right away, as opposed to them having to go to your website and hunt down a phone number and go through a menu and get put on hold or send you an email or fill out a form, right? The faster and the easier we can make it for people to contact us, the happier they will be. And the other thing is Twitter is really great for sharing information and news. So you notice, right, that like all of the news outlets are on Twitter. They're on Facebook, but they get a lot of traction on Twitter, all reporters and things like that. So it is good for instant news, especially breaking news. Um, if you're a sports fan and you follow any sort of like TSN or ESPN or anything like that, all of the breaking news comes out over Twitter because it's so fast. Okay, so next, I do want to talk about LinkedIn because all of the other networks can be used for business to consumer businesses or business to business, even though some things are more geared toward business to consumer. But LinkedIn is really geared toward business to business, right? I would argue it's the only one that is a majority business to business network. And let's talk about why that is. So in Saskatchewan, there's about 183,000 users. And like Twitter, there's more men than women. LinkedIn has 3 times more men than women. And about 2,000 of those people are sole entrepreneurs, like probably many of us are. Now, the average user for LinkedIn, they've kind of figured out, is about 40 years old and has an income around $100,000 a year. So these are the people who are in management, upper management, executive, C-suite level, right? These are the decision makers, not necessarily the employees. So LinkedIn is really great because the decision makers are the ones who are actually going to decide whether or not to sign that check to purchase your service or your product, right? And so that's why this can be really, really good to get at those people as long as you're not too pushy and crazy about it. The other thing is that when you share B2B info or any sort of industry news or anything like that, people on LinkedIn like to read that because that's what they're there for, right? They're there for staying up to date and getting educated. So if you're doing B2B, you definitely want to be on LinkedIn. And Snapchat wasn't on the list, but I do want to mention it because it's growing by leaps and bounds these days. So Snapchat, the user base is so small that it wasn't broken out in that study. But kind of what we do know right now is that the largest age group on Snapchat is the 13 to 24, right? However, it is starting to become popular with the 25 to 40, which I jokingly say, oh yeah, it's all the kids' parents that are joining to watch what their kids are doing on Snapchat, right? And there might be some truth to that, but it is getting more popular with a slightly older demographic. And the emphasis of Snapchat is really on fun. So you don't want to be, if you're doing something that's not fun, those people aren't going to care. So if you have an audience that's younger, you might want to think about doing Snapchat. I know Snapchat can be a little scary. I use it myself just personally because I wanted to learn how to use it before I even thought about doing it for business. And I do find it a little bit counterintuitive sometimes compared to some of the other networks, but there are guides and things out there that you can use to find out kind of how it all works and how not to accidentally post weird pictures of your eye in the ceiling and things like that. So don't do what I did. And like I said, I didn't mention Google Plus because our user base in Saskatchewan is so small that um, I just thought, nah, we don't use it enough, so there's no point in going into it. Although if somebody is using Google Plus and being very successful on it, I would be interested in finding out what your business is and the kind of audience that you're trying to target. So if you ever want more info from me, I've got an email list that you can subscribe to, and I like to send out blog posts. And they're all educational about how to do different things on social media. And often they have resources that you can download that kind of go along with the blog. If you want to subscribe today, there's a freebie download that you'll get with it. I also like to send out notifications of upcoming events, just like webinars like this or other events that I'm holding. And I'm also starting to do some Facebook Live Q&A sessions. And I will be sending out emails to notify people about when those are because you don't necessarily get a notification on Facebook that it's happening. So if you don't want to miss out, I'll send emails out to tell people about when those are. So if you want any more information, feel free to subscribe. I've got the link up there. It's just blgbusiness.com/subscribe right on my website. And that is all I have for now. So now I want to turn it over to you guys and see if you have any questions. I know it was a lot of numbers and we went through them pretty fast. So if anyone needs some more clarification about anything, please let me know. And I think I saw some questions popping up as I was talking. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit and then we'll just start going through them. Okay, so I think Sally's question was the first one here. So Sally says, doesn't YouTube have greater staying power rather than posting directly to Facebook? Actually, the opposite is true now these days. So if you upload or do a Facebook Live video right directly into Facebook, Facebook will give that post more reach than if you posted a link to a YouTube video. And the simple reason is that Facebook wants all of our content to be directly from Facebook. It doesn't want people to be clicking a link and going over to YouTube and then getting sucked up watching YouTube videos, right? They want people to stay on Facebook. So at the moment, if you have a video and you upload it directly to Facebook, or you post the link to the YouTube video, the one that's uploaded directly to Facebook is going to get way more traction. So I hope that is clear. So let's see. Oh, come on, scroll. I think I missed a question. Okay, so Amy, on LinkedIn, yeah, we can definitely. That's the thing. If you guys want to connect with me on any networks, that's 100% fine. I'm obviously this is my business and I like to connect with people online. So that is okay. Go ahead and do it. And especially if you do it right after the webinar, I'll remember, oh, you were on the webinar. So I'll make sure to connect back. But Amy also had a comment, Google Plus is good for mentioning your location so it picks up faster when people search. This is something I heard recently. Yes, so that is a really good point. So I will tell you my Google Plus strategy is this, because I have a Google Plus account, but I almost never log into it and I almost never get any engagement. However, I post all my blog posts to Google Plus because Google Plus obviously is part of Google. And so it is really, really good for SEO. And what SEO is, it stands for search engine optimization. And it's, if you have good SEO, it means you're more likely to get found in a Google search. So simply by having my blog posts on Google Plus, they might be more likely to appear higher in a Google search than if I didn't have them there. So that's my strategy. If you have a blog, I would 100% recommend that. But I don't necessarily go on Google Plus to add people to my circles. If somebody does comment on something, I will respond, but I don't go in and kind of like hunt people down and comment on other things. I just use it purely for SEO. And again, if you have your Google profile set up and you are a local business, Amy is right. Having your place of business and your address, again, will help you get picked up in searches faster. So there are some benefits, but I don't necessarily use it for social networking, right? I use it for SEO. Okay, so Sandra, would you please provide the contact info link for the SAS survey? I can. I don't know if I can do it right this second. Actually, if you just go to insightrix.com, you should, no, that's not their website. Insightrix. Insightrix Digital. Because you can download the survey yourself, you'll have to give them your email address, and then they might occasionally send you stuff. I've only ever gotten a few emails from them, so it's not a lot, so it's not overwhelming. But yeah, this survey is really, really good, and I would recommend using it. I don't know that I can find it right this second, right? Because I just have a downloaded copy. What would be, Sandra, if you want to email me after this, you can either email me or you might be able to find it. You might be able to Google it yourself. But if you wanted to email me, I could hunt down the link a lot faster when we're done here. I'm just going to type my email address into the comments. So I hope that showed up there. There it is. Yeah, and so you can just email me and I will send you the link to it if you still need it when we're done. Okay, so Jody, I know this is another topic. Importance of clarifying your own brand before you are to share happy content creation. Okay, it's a long one. Wait, Jody, I'm going to come back to your question at the end because I just noticed that Sally said the answer that I gave was not what she meant. So her question refers to looking at YouTube versus Facebook. Oh, yes, definitely. In terms of people searching for stuff or looking at it, it will be a lot easier for them to find if you have it on YouTube. If they search for it on Facebook, it'll be the Facebook search is it's not good if you're looking for something specific, let's say. But yeah, so this way you definitely need to have it in both places. It's just off the bat, you do want to have it stored in YouTube or some sort of video channel. There's like Vimeo, and there's one other I'm forgetting, where you can store your videos. And so having them there definitely means that people like months and months later, or even years later, are going to be finding them. That's not going to happen if they're just on Facebook. So I hope that helps. Okay, and then Sally, yeah, oh, and if anyone, I know some of you guys are in Saskatoon. I work almost exclusively online, so it doesn't mean that we have to be in the same place to work together. I do teleconference and video conference and stuff, and I've had quite a few clients in Saskatoon and different places in Canada, and even one in the UK. So that is totally fine. Um, Sandra, is there a way to participate in Facebook 101 so I really understand its power? Yes. Um, I've done workshops like that before. In fact, we did one for women entrepreneurs. That was a Facebook 101, but that was quite a while ago. So there's lots of stuff out there. I mean, I would recommend any sort of social media training you want. You can ask around, you can Google, or if you want to ask me about what I can do for you guys, that's perfectly okay. And if what you want isn't quite what I can provide, I will always refer you on to someone else that I trust who is local to Saskatchewan as well. Because I don't do everything. There's some things I do better than others, so I don't ever want to do a half-ass job for anyone. Okay, I want to scroll back up here for a second. I need to make this chat box bigger because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, so what are we? Okay, so Jody, I'm going to go back to your question here about and this is a good question for anyone. It's not specific about social media, but it's something that we all need to know when we're marketing our business. So the importance of clarifying your brand before you start sharing content. That's kind of the first part of the question. Um, it's very important. If you are slightly disorganized or unclear about what your message is, what exactly it is you're selling, the benefits to your customer, and even sometimes the visual brand identity, if you're even a little bit confused about that, the people that you're sending the information to are going to be 10 times more confused. And it'll be obvious that you're confused, and they might, some of them might not care. Some of them might ask you more information until they are clear, and then they'll become your customer. But some people, especially on social media, because it's so fast, we just want to be told, okay, you need this because you have XYZ. And then it's like, ooh, I have XYZ, I'm going to buy that, click. But if I have to go through too much information to figure out exactly what it is that you're doing or what you stand for, then I might just scroll on past, right? Um, yeah, that's a hard one, and it's something that we often skip over because we're so excited to get our businesses up and running. And I would say I definitely didn't do that when I started. I started my business offering a whole suite of services, and now I'm down to like doing two things. And I'm doing much better now that I've kind of narrowed my focus and have a more niche market. So that's important, but it's hard. It's very hard. And the second part of her question was engaging in sharing posts from other individuals or organizations that can affect your brand positively and negatively. Okay, so when you are sharing stuff from other people on social media, I would definitely encourage that. You don't want to make it 100% of your strategy. If you're just sharing everyone else's stuff, then why would I come buy your thing, right? But it can be really valuable to supplement the stuff that you're putting out there. the thing is, you do have to be careful about what you're sharing and who you're sharing it from. You don't want to share something from a direct competitor, right? Because again, somebody might see that and go, well, that's awesome, and then click through and go to the other person's website and buy their stuff. Also, you don't want to share anything from someone who maybe doesn't have a stellar reputation. I know that's difficult because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you're just based solely on, oh, this picture is awesome or this article is really well written. Um, and so you just have to kind of do your best to evaluate, number one, is this content good? And by good, I mean, is it quality? Does it have spelling mistakes? Is there like inappropriate language in it? Anything that maybe your audience wouldn't like to see? And then also, is this person a competitor? Because maybe I don't want to share something from a competitor. So I know those are really big questions, and I don't want to go on too long about them. So I hope that answers hope that answers your question and helps anyone else out. Okay. So, oh yes, thanks, Jackie. If you're on LinkedIn, Women Entrepreneurs has a LinkedIn company page, and you can follow that to get updates about training and events and network news and things like that. And we also have a LinkedIn group that's specific to WE members that you can join. And that particular group, you can share your own information. And so, like member to member discounts or promotions, or just even anything interesting you found that you want to share. So, just a little plug for the LinkedIn stuff. That if you want to join that, go to LinkedIn and search for Women Entrepreneurs. Okay, yeah. So, what else? Have I missed anything here? Oh, Sally wanted to know more about Vimeo. It's just another video hosting service similar to YouTube. That's all. And Amy is inviting everyone to connect with her on LinkedIn, so you can see her emails right there. Amy, you are going to get a whole bunch of connection requests after this. All right. Did anyone else have any questions? I have a question for you guys. Does anyone think that based on all the stats I gave you today, does anyone think that they might need to go to a different network or start an account on a different network to reach the audience they really need to? That Sally says no. Okay, so that means good, you're in the right spot. Amy's gonna focus more on LinkedIn. Angela, yes, she might be thinking Kim's in the right place. What else do we got here? Brenda, yes, she might be moving. Ivy, for sure, an accountant. Yeah, so LinkedIn is definitely a good spot. So yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 mix of people saying, no, I'm in the right place, and then the other half saying, yeah, there might be one, maybe I should try out something different. So that's good. It's for some of you guys, it's a confirmation, and for other guys, it's like, okay, this is maybe where I need to go. So that is good to hear. Okay, anything else? Oh, for any stats and info, extremely helpful. That's awesome. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. Okay, we do have a couple more minutes for questions if anyone has anything. There is like a crow and a dog barking not a crow barking, a crow and a dog fighting right outside my window. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's so distracting. Sorry. I'll close my window if I can. Okay, I see some typing, so I'll just wait a second. Mm. Just more thanks. Oh, I missed Sally. You missed my question. Okay, thanks for thanks for retyping. Can you access my screen remotely? Yes, I can. I can do that. Some more thanks. You're welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming out. I know it's so nice out, so a lot of people don't want to be sitting inside on the computer in the middle of a beautiful day. Um, yeah, so thanks for taking the time to come out live. The recording will be up, but of course, watching the recording, you can ask questions. So that's kind of the benefit of being here live.
Well, that's great. I think if there's no more questions, we'll just wrap it up here. And yes, a big thank you to Brandy for taking the time today to explain all the different factors to consider when choosing social media network for our business. I think we got a lot of good information there with all those stats. So we truly appreciate your time, Brandy, and all the information that you gave us today. I also want to thank everyone that was able to join us today on this webinar because yes, it is a beautiful day. So that's awesome. Just for everybody on this webinar, our next upcoming webinar is Does Google Love Your Business? And that is on August 10th, and our presenter is Heather Panay from Authentically Business and Life Solutions. So stay tuned for that. You can check your WE emails or visit our website to register for it. All right. Well, I wish everybody a great afternoon. And again, thank you for coming out.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks everyone.